Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Nashville Superspeedway for tonight's Nashville 133. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me tonight, as always, is Wyatt Knadle. Wyatt, we had a few weeks off, and we're back now for the second half of Season 1 here in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. What are your thoughts heading into race number 6 here tonight?
Well, thank you for introducing me, Robert. As always, very happy to be here. I think, with a couple weeks off these guys had, I think we are going to see a little bit of nerves again, almost like it's the beginning of another new season, but it's not. We're deep into this regular season now, and we'll see how the beginning of this race goes. I think some of these drivers are going to be a little excited, a little nervous to get back going under the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do take a look at our race format tonight, 100 laps here this evening, no stages, and 4 sets of tires. As we look down on the racetrack here, pole sitter Jay Kaner is leading the field out onto the race course right now. As we take a look at the starting grid, Jay Kaner on the pole, William Wyatt is outside, Chris Wright, Trey Holmes there in the top 4, Leighton Norgard, Corey Abbott, Cash James, Ray Bracey, Jake Finch, and Hunter Smith rounding out the top 10, Wyatt.
In 11th, we have Brandon Ultra, followed by Brandon Key, Brent Jones in 13th, Jordan Owens in 14th, Robert Higgins in 15th, Mark Murphy 16th, Dustin Dewar 17th, Michael Hossack, Andrew Hardcastle, and David Dunwoody rounds out the top 20.
Rounding out the field, Rory Collins, Robert Smith, Mike Goodman Jr., Jess Story, as well as Ethan Stanley and Jesse Rasmus. 26 cars here tonight as the pace car is about to take the turn onto pit road. We will hand it down to the field here, down to Barney the flag man, who will get us underway here in just a moment. The field has entered the Geico restart zone. Jay Kaner is underway here in the Nashville 133. Wyatt, as we do get things going here, I do quickly want to point out the points here. It is currently Chris Wright leading over 11 points over Trey Eidson and Ethan Stanley. Eidson not here tonight. Ethan Stanley starting at the back. Mark Murphy, Michael Hossack up there as well. And various other drivers still have a shot with 5 races to go. Of course, it is Jay Kaner leading the field right now over Chris Wright and William Wyatt. Wright and White there, making things a little interesting. Jake Finch has come down pit road. Not sure what happened there, but he is indeed on pit road. As we look a little bit further back in the field, we have quite a bit of action going on early here as we see Andrew Hardcastle making his first start on the inside of Robert Higgins. That is for 13th and 14th here. As all throughout the field, we're going to have a lot of battles to follow along here. Cash James, one to watch tonight. He did qualify up inside the top 10, but was forced to start at the rear due to a banner violation. So he is currently running 19th. Wyatt, why don't we go ahead and make some race picks here early on in the event and let the people know who we think have a good shot at taking home the victory tonight.
Well, Robert, I'll be happy to. I haven't put a whole lot of thought in it, but, I figure if we pick him enough, it might actually happen. As the guy you see on the screen right now in the 42 car, that's Chris Wright, I believe, is going to win the race tonight. And what about you?
Yeah, Chris Wright, definitely a good pick. Of course, he's been the bridesmaid, I think, 3 times this season. Never really had his opportunity to close the deal out and get it done, but Chris is a great pick here tonight. I gotta go with somebody that I don't even know if we can consider him an underdog. He's been so good all season long, and he's also in this picture right here. I'm gonna go one spot further back. I'm gonna go with our British friend here tonight, William Wyatt, driver of the number 43. Watch for William Wyatt to get it done tonight.
Yeah, and he's always got a pretty good fan base behind him watching these races, cheering him on. You know, he's had some really good qualifying efforts so far this season. A lot of top 5 starts. We actually see a problem out of the 22 of Andrew Hardcastle. Might have made contact with the wall coming off turn 4. Kept it straight, still going, but a few positions lost.
Yeah, Andrew Hardcastle, like I mentioned, making his first start here in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series there, driving the number 22 for Abbott Motorsports, trying to work his way up through the field. He is up 2 spots at this point, but you did mention got a little bit of the outside wall there, and that forced him just a little bit further back in the field tonight. But I definitely think there's a lot of guys to watch in this field. A guy like Ethan Stanley already up 13 spots from the start. Of course, he was able to gain 4 spots via driver banner violations early on, but Ethan Stanley, one to watch. David Dunwoody up 7 spots as there goes Brandon Key.
Oh, and he's spinning. Oh, and he's going to collect
Michael Hossack there. Caution is not out yet on the racetrack. We will see if race control decides to throw a yellow. I'm a little surprised they haven't, but of course, both of these cars are off the racing surface on the pit road there, as we do see Brandon Key, Michael Hossack both rejoining the field here. Lap number 9, that was a multi-car incident there, so something to watch going forward. Let's see if we can get another look at what happened with Brandon Key, as you see Key going a lap down there to Chris Wright and William White. Watching the 33 of Brandon Key just ahead of the 07 of Robert Higgins. Looks like Brandon Key just gets a little loose. It steps out on him. He tries to save it, comes back up the track into the side of Cash James, back down the track into Michael Hossack. Both of those guys go for a little bit of slide into the infield grass, but have been able to continue on as we see a battle for second.
As the battle for second goes on here, I just want to point out, you know, watching these guys practice here for the race tonight, I noticed how loose this car can actually get off the exit of specifically turn 4. It's a little bit deceiving here in Nashville, but as you see on board here with Trey Holmes coming out of turn number 4, he's going to come through this corner here into turn 1, and you're going to see him try and hug that yellow line on the bottom. Really good race car driver there on the simulation.
As Andrew Hardcastle actually stepped out just ahead of him. Sorry, what?
Oh, no problem. You know, not so bad in turn 2 now that these guys have a little bit of wear on their tires, but oh, we have Brandon Key getting loose again there. He's got some damage to that car. Nearly had a disaster there, but was able to get it out of the way of the pack.
And Wyatt, actually on the topic of Brandon Key, you did just see across the screen right there from race controller Jonathan Cutlip, a tally has been issued to Brandon Key for the lap 8 incident with Michael Hossack, causing damage to another race vehicle. So tally issued there for Brandon Key. And looking up front here, William White chasing down our race leader Jay Kaner, as Kaner has a little bit of a blink there. This is the first real moment that we've seen any other car being able to chase down Jay Kaner. Obviously only 13 laps into the event, but those laps tick off relatively quickly here around this Nashville Superspeedway. Lap times in the range of about 30 to 31 seconds. So very quick laps around this racetrack, as we see William White there continuing to chase down Jay Kaner. Chris Wright trying to run him down. Leighton Norgard there, and Hunter Smith in the top 5 as well. Brent Jones up 7 spots to 6th. Brandon Ultra 7th. Ray Bracey there in 8th with Jordan Owens on his outside. That's a battle for the 8th position. And just behind them, entering the picture now, that is Ethan Stanley up 15 spots already here tonight.
Yeah, and that's one of those guys we've seen all season long. He just can get through traffic extremely quick, and he doesn't burn his stuff up doing it. He's really good at managing the tire wear there. As we see some of these guys start to fall off, they might get a little tight, they might get a little too loose depending on how they've been driving the car. As we actually see a battle for the lead here, William Wyatt might get the advantage on it right here.
Yeah, old William Wyatt on the outside there, trying to take the position on Jake Kaner, move William Wyatt to that race lead. Jake Kaner not giving up very easily, running the bottom there as they are approaching the lap car of Michael Hossack. He should enter the picture momentarily here, as we did see him. There he is right there just ahead of William Wyatt. That should allow Wyatt to get a little bit of a draft here and try to pull away just a little bit. Just taking a look through the field, for those of you keeping score at home, Jake Finch has rejoined the field. We saw him on pit road earlier tonight. He is, I do believe, 2 laps down at this point, so watch for Jake Finch to try to battle his way back onto the lead lap tonight. Brandon Key 1 lap down currently, as Michael Hossack just now going a lap down to the William Wyatt and Jay Kaner machines. So great drive here early on by William Wyatt to put himself up in the race lead. Started second up to first, so quick little swap with Jay Kaner, swapping first and second here. Chris Wright staying there in third. Leighton Norgard, Hunter Smith also up in the top 5, Wyatt.
Yeah, and we can't talk down the importance of this race. You know, these drivers had a couple weeks off now. Now they're coming back, and we're in the middle of the season. It's really important to rebuild the momentum you might have had at the end of before the break. And these guys like William Wyatt had a little bit of trouble with some incidents he was innocently involved in the past few races. There were a couple instances like that where he had otherwise really good cars. And now he's sitting here leading this thing. And I think this would be a great opportunity for him to build momentum to try and get back in the hunt there, as he actually got a little loose off turn 4, I think.
Looks like he made a little bit of wall contact there, as we do have a battle brewing here for 4th. It is Hunter Smith on the inside of a Leighton Norgard. That is a battle for the 4th and 5th positions. Just behind them, you do see a side-by-side. That's just Brent Jones lapping the 24 of Michael Hossack. But nice little battle right here between Norgard and Hunter Smith. Again, that is for 4th position. Looking a little bit further back, Ethan Stanley up 16 spots to 9th. He's running down the 8th place car of Ray Bracey here, trying to work his way up. Also looking through, we have Jesse Rasmus up 12 spots to 14th. He started dead last here tonight. Trey Holmes has gained positions. It will show him down 12 spots, but of course he had a banner violation. Just about to move his way up past David Dunwoody into 15th. So Trey Holmes on a bit of a mission tonight. Cash James not too far behind him, working his way up as well. But back up front, it is William Wyatt over Jay Kaner.
Yeah, and it looks like William did a fantastic job saving those tires. You know, those first 10 to 15 laps of this run at this specific track is extremely important for saving those tires. This track is a little deceiving, as I mentioned before, but it's also easy to overdrive these tires and easy to get them too hot too quick and wear them down.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, we do only have 3 additional sets of tires sitting on pit road. Of course, that is about 25 laps per set here tonight, as we are 100 lap event this evening. And what we're gonna see a little bit later on in the event is who's been able to save their tires and be smart about it. A guy that I look at for that is Trey Holmes. Again, going back to him, one of the best guys at saving tires that I've ever raced with. And he's gonna be one to watch later on in the event, is he's definitely going to save that extra bit of tire where somebody else may struggle.
He is at a little bit of a disadvantage having to start in the back tonight, but as we see Brandon Key get on pit road here.
Looks like he's parking it for the evening.
Yes, that does appear to be the case. Brandon Key, I believe, will retire from the event. But, going back to If
Trey
we go
Holmes.
back to Trey Holmes, for instance, his long run speed's fantastic as he's under here battling for position on Jesse Rasmus. This guy knows how to save tires, as you mentioned. He's also really good at being patient through this traffic, but he is a little bit of a disadvantage, like I mentioned, starting from the back, having to work his way through these, where some of the other guys like William Wyatt, Chris Wright, Hunter Smith,
We just had an incident there. Jay Kaner has fallen back. I think he may have actually lost connection to the race server, as Jay Kaner no longer showing on our timing and scoring monitors.
Yeah, and I'll keep us updated on that, but I don't see any indication he's back on the track yet. That would be a really tough break starting on the pole here for him, and
Yeah, Jay Kaner, I believe, is out of the event.
And that's big too, because now William Wyatt has almost a second half on Chris Wright.
Yeah, big gap for William Wyatt. He can save a little bit of tire right now, because I think Chris Wright doesn't have as much rubber left on those wheels on the 42 machine as William Wyatt does. William Wyatt hasn't pushed too much from what I've seen. He seems to be able to maintain that pace, but yeah, looking at Jay Kaner, I am not seeing any speed out of that car. So I do believe he is disconnected from the server.
And in fact, yes, he just lost connection to the server. So
really unfortunate there for Jay Kaner. Was running so well, a contender here tonight to take the victory, and all of a sudden he finds himself now, even if he gets back in the server, he will be numerous laps down. I believe he's 3 laps down already, which is enough to... Oh, William Wyatt in the wall.
Oh, and that's a pretty hard hit to...
That was a big hit for the race leader.
Now, these cars are tough, but we'll have to see how tough they are and how much that's actually going to impact his performance on the track. It might tighten him up too much now. It might not be good for him, but I think Chris Wright is sitting there licking his lips a little bit.
Yeah, Chris Wright definitely has to be excited at this point, knowing that William Wyatt does have that damage. As you can see, William kind of tiptoeing around the exit of turn number 4 there, trying not to get into the outside wall again. We've seen him in that wall a few times tonight. Of course, really light contact earlier, but this last hit was very substantial and will do some damage to that number 43 machine. Wyatt, we are coming up on the 1/3 mark of this race. These guys have done a great job so far in a car that we understood was kind of not loose, not tight, not nice either. Like, nobody seemed really comfortable, but they all seem to be doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, they are. And, even when these guys are side by side, less than 2 feet apart from each other, they're able to race respectfully, too, with the handling of these cars not being as ideal as we see Brandon Ultra dive it down under Brent Jones. These two right here have been battling between nose to tail and side by side for the better part of this run now. And it looks like Brandon Ultra might get enough of an advantage here to clear him going into turn 1, and he does.
Yeah, Brenton Jones and Brandon Ultra right there battling for position. Ethan Stanley joining the mix as well. Ethan up 18 spots from his starting position here tonight. So Ethan Stanley continues to be the biggest mover. One thing I'm going to point out here, just outside that top 10, is the Trey Holmes machine. You see him all up on that rear end of Corey Abbott, trying to work his way up into the 11th spot, and then just not too far ahead of them is Mark Murphy, the 10th place car. So Trey Holmes on the move, Ethan Stanley on the move, Chris Wright on the move as well. Just about a half second, 6/10 between himself and the race leader. Wyatt, we are going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we should be getting close to the first round of pit stops.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here at Nashville Superspeedway, as you just heard from our friends at TA Services as well as iRacing.com. Of course, TA Services, one of our premier partners here in the Elite Racing League, as well as Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Worldwide Technology Raceway is one of our partners as well, as we actually have a battle for the race lead. William Wyatt and Chris right there. Worldwide Technology Raceway, formerly known as Gateway, is a motorsport racing facility in Madison, Illinois, with a 1.25-mile oval, 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, as well as a state-of-the-art karting facility. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. And of course, this is the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. Pit Pass Network is your new home for all things NASCAR. From news to reviews and interviews, check out pitpassnetwork.com today. Up front, it is the Pit Pass Network car of Chris Wright leading the thing here over William Wyatt. Wyatt, why don't you walk us through what we've seen so far here tonight as we approach lap number 40?
Well, we've seen a little bit of a mixed bag here. We've seen guys move to the front, then kind of fall back. We've seen guys work their way patiently through the field, and now we have a new leader. I've got to imagine William Wyatt having that damage from the contact in the walls really influenced that and Chris Wright's ability to get up to him and pass him. As we see Hunter Smith actually getting close to the back of William Wyatt. That is not good timing for him by any means, especially coming close to green flag pit stops here. But, you know, we talked about him earlier here tonight, and Trey Holmes in the 48. This man has cracked the top 10 now. And apart from this last lap, as he passed multiple guys in that lap, he's running about a tenth to a tenth and a half quicker lap than the leader right now. Extremely fast. This is what we talked about. This is what he likes to do, even though he probably didn't want to start in the back. But, you know, if he can get a pretty good green flag pit stop, assuming we will get those, we got to watch out for him. There's possibility he can reel these guys in.
Yeah, Trey Holmes has done a really, really good job tonight, as has the guy just behind him there, Jesse Rasmus. Both of them have worked their way up from the rear of the field tonight. They are doing a fantastic job. Trey started back around the 24th position here, currently up in the 9th spot, battling for 8th with Mark Murphy. And again, you know, we've mentioned this guy a few times as well. Not too far ahead of them in the 5th position is Ethan Stanley, up 20 spots here tonight. Ethan, of course, hoping for a big points night. 11 points back of Chris Wright entering this evening. And with Chris Wright currently out front, of course, Ethan Stanley's going to need to do everything he can to work his way up to that lead spot. As we see Trey Holmes on the inside of Mark Murphy at this point, battling for 8th position. Again, like you mentioned, Wyatt, we have to be getting close to the green flag pit stops here in the next couple laps. I think these guys might look at splitting it halfway if possible. So that would be about 7 to 8 laps from now. we will keep an eye on it. And as soon as we see anyone come down pit road, of course, we will report it to you. I would expect potentially someone like a William Wyatt to lead the way to pit road. Of course, he does have a little bit of right side damage, but the fact that he's starting to lose a few positions now shows me that those tires are starting to fall off as well. Maybe the driver needs a quick break to get a sip of water or whatever their beverage of choice may be. But I would watch this William Wyatt machine to lead the way.
Yeah, and I think another guy we might want to look at as far as one of the first to come to pit road is actually going to be Ethan Stanley. Really good pace throughout this long run, but he's going to have to make up a little bit of time now. We saw him struggle once he got up into the top 10. He wasn't able to make those passes as easy. I think he's going to try and jumpstart that by gaining the time on the new tires, pitting a little bit sooner than everybody else.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're going to have to watch here, Wyatt, in the next couple of laps, is to see when these guys opt to come to pit road. I don't know what the fuel window is for these guys tonight. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get that information from our usual driver analyst here tonight, but you know, we're going to keep watching, keep seeing who does what, and see when these guys do contemplate coming down pit road. As we do take a quick little shuffle through the field here. We just saw Robert Smith. Here's Robert Higgins, Rory Collins, Andrew Hardcastle, David Dunwoody, Cash James just ahead of him. Cash James with some left side damage. I do believe that is from the Brandon Key machine earlier on during that incident with Michael Hossack. Here's Mike Goodman out on track chasing down Jess Story. Jess Story's had a good season as well. Wyatt currently up, I do believe, tied for 5th in points, or just outside the top 5. But Jess Story been really good. Dustin Durr here as well, chasing down Corey Abbott and Ray Bracey. That is 12th through 14th right there. Brent Jones just ahead of them in 11th, chasing down Mark Murphy. This is Jesse Rasmus right here, chasing down Trey Holmes. That's 8th and 9th. The car you see just behind them is Jay Kaner. He is currently 25th, multiple laps down after an earlier connection issue. As here is our first pit stop coming from outside the top 15. That is Andrew Hardcastle on pit road here. We'll see if that triggers anything. Of course, Hardcastle running a little bit further back, so they won't necessarily make anyone else want to come down pit road yet. But as you see out of Chris Wright's window here, or off the nose, you can see lap cars ahead. This may be something that triggers pit stops.
Yeah, Chris Wright being in that position, obviously you don't want to give up the lead first. Just in case, you never want to give up the lead until you have to. But he's got to think about this now. I mean, Hunter Smith isn't far behind him either, so if that lap car holds him up, he's going to lose the spot even before pit stops. And that'll be something that you obviously won't want to see as someone in Chris Wright's position, as we see Dustin Dewar here trying to make a move on Corey Abbott.
Nice little battle here for 12th position. Abbott currently holding the spot over Dustin Durr. Like you mentioned, 12th and 13th there, but back up front, here's Chris Wright going by the 07 of Robert Higgins. Higgins now a lap down, but what this has done is allowed Hunter Smith to really close that gap on Chris Wright. Watch for Hunter Smith to make a move here in the next couple of turns. Looks like he had a little bit of a rough entry there into turn number 1, but he's going to get a nice run off of turn number 2. Get some draft here on the Chris Wright machine. Hunter Smith to the bottom, looking to take the race lead. He's going to back out of it a little bit, entering the quarter. Chris Wright nearly cleared himself, it just about looked like there, just ahead of the Hunter Smith machine. Just watching a little bit further back in the top 10. Here he comes, Mark Murphy. The first top 10 car onto pit road here. Mark Murphy has come down. He will pit from the 10th position. So this is something that may lead to some more top 10 pit stops here, as well as the fact that we are just past halfway As we see the 8 car of Robert Smith got really high on the racetrack there, nearly into the outside wall. As Chris Wright pulling away a little bit from Hunter Smith, a Leighton Norgard, William White, and Ethan Stanley there. Mike Goodman and Jess Story, as well as Cash James coming down pit road here. Pit cycle is underway. These guys all pit from outside the top 10. But again, seeing more people pit, they're going to see the fresh tire effect here momentarily as well, which is something that kind of triggers you internally to start thinking, hey, when am I coming down pit road? When do I need these 4 fresh tires? And is it going to make a huge difference? Should I take them now or should I wait?
Yeah, most definitely, Robert. You know,
Durham
this is
Bracey also on pit road. Sorry to cut you off there. And Rory Collins as well.
This is one of the hardest parts as a leader too, is you got to guess correctly, because obviously Hunter Smith has his own ideas here. He knows what he wants to do. I think he's actually coming down pit road right now. Hunter Smith down pit road. And that is going to obviously make it really hard for Chris Wright to want to stay out for more laps here.
I'm going to call it right now. Next lap, Chris Wright coming down pit road.
And I think Leighton Norgard's going to follow him as well. They have no reason to stay out on the track anymore now. And
look at Chris's wheel here. He's playing that wheel quite a bit, actually. I think he's struggling right now with these tires.
yeah, and it's curious that he didn't pit right there. I'm not too sure.
A Leighton Norgard, William White did just pit as well. So now Chris Wright, Ethan Stanley, Jordan Owens, Trey Holmes up into 4th, Jesse Rasmus, Brandon Ultra, Brent Jones, Corey Abbott, and David Dunwoody. The only cars still on the racetrack. Chris has to be coming down right now. And
yes,
he is.
He goes. Drove it hard down on pit road too.
Beautiful entry though.
Yeah, it was great.
Beautiful
Great
entry for
stuff.
Chris Wright. Michael Hosek and Brent Jones also coming down pit road here. So Ethan Stanley, your new race leader, over Jordan Owens and Trey Holmes, as well as Jesse Rasmus, Brandon Ultra, Corey Abbott, David Dunwoody. Those guys still on the racetrack. They have not pit. But the one thing at this point, seeing that it's been green for so long, here comes Stanley, here comes Owens. Move Trey Holmes and Jesse Rasmus to the top of the leaderboard here. Trey Holmes is the leader at the line. But as I was saying, the way that the race is going, we have not seen any cautions yet. So you had to plan that strategy on the idea that there's not going to be any cautions, that you're going to go green to the end. So you want to wait as long as you can to have the freshest tires at the end, but you don't want to lose too much track position. So guy like Trey Holmes, Jesse Rasmus, Brandon Ultra even. Actually, Ultra just came down pit road. So really just Holmes and Rasmus. You got to be careful that you don't wait too long here and get yourself caught a lap down or even multiple laps down should a caution end up coming out and these guys don't pit.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, one thing I want to point out is the speed differential here. This last lap that Trey Holmes ran in the lead, he ran a 32.10, right? Leighton Norgard pitted a few laps ago, and his last lap was a 31.17. That's almost a second difference on the track right now between the fresh tires and the people who have yet to pit. That is a huge difference, and if he runs that over multiple laps, you're going to put yourself very far behind. I got to imagine Trey and Jesse Rasmus are looking for...
They're hoping for a yellow, I'm pretty sure. As Jesse Rasmus does get by Trey Holmes, Jesse Rasmus, the new race leader here, Hunter Smith unlapping himself right now. So Hunter Smith, definitely the biggest... Actually, I wouldn't even say he's the biggest gainer on this pit sequence. Obviously, great stop by him. Has quite a gap over Chris Wright. But Elaine Norgard has jumped William White and Chris Wright as well to move himself up into what will be second place once this all cycles through. So watch for Leighton Norgard to take an opportunity. Here comes Trey Holmes on to pit road. So Holmes pitting from the second position, comes down pit road. Jesse Rasmus, the only car that has not pit here tonight. You really have to think that he should be coming down in the next 2 laps.
Yeah, and if there's something I know about Trey Holmes, he's going to stretch the field as far as he can. It sounds like Jesse is indicating he's pitting this time. But the biggest loser on those pit stops was Chris Wright. You know, he has now fallen back to
As
fourth
actually, he
as
just
soon as
got loose there. He got loose and had to get off the throttle as well. So he
That's
just
not gonna
lost
help
even
his
more positions on, well, he didn't lose positions, but he lost track position, which is very important, as Hunter Smith should cycle back to the race leader here in just a moment. Trey Holmes losing a ton of spots as the entire field goes by. Now, Jake Finch just went down pit road as well. He did have a couple extra laps because he had an issue early on. Hunter Smith, now the race leader. Leighton Norgard second. William White third. Chris Wright fourth. Ethan Stanley fifth. Mark Murphy sixth. Jordan Owens in seventh. Dustin Durr there in eighth. Ray Bracey and Brent Jones rounding out the top 10. Corey Abbott, Jess Story, Mike Goodman, Jesse Rasmus, and Cash James rounding out the top 15. Brandon Ultra and Cash James should get by Jesse Rasmus here, so move Brandon Ultra into the top 15. Jesse Rasmus just outside. Andrew Hardcastle, David Dunwoody, Rory Collins, Robert Smith rounding out the top 20. Trey Holmes now a lap down. Actually,
Yeah, no, he
nearly
is a lap
2
down.
laps down.
I think he sped on pit road coming in, which is really unfortunate too, because he had the long run pace to really make a show out of it and make an attempt to run to the front. We saw him coming a little hot. I think he locked the brakes up a little bit coming down pit road, and just a really tough break. You know, guy as talented as Trey. It's unfortunate that he seems to find these bad breaks a lot, and you know, sometimes, as I know very well, Robert, luck isn't on your side, and unfortunately, that looks like how it's going to play out for Trey here tonight.
You know, yeah, right there. There we go. From Jonathan Cutlip, lap 62 to 48 of Trey Holmes. Almost called him Jonathan Holmes there. Trey Holmes speeding on pit road. So definitely not what Trey Holmes was hoping for. But the thing is, we are still 35 laps remaining in this event. If Trey gets one caution, he's the lucky dog. He has the pace. He can work his way up. If that caution comes out, chances are there's going to be some cars that are damaged. Trey's easily going to get by those guys. He very well could still get a top 5 here tonight. He could contend for this race victory. So we cannot count Trey Holmes out yet, as he is trying to work his way up past a couple cars, unlap himself just a little bit. Obviously a lot of work to do to get up to the front, but Trey Holmes still one to watch in my opinion here tonight.
Yeah, and like you said, if the caution does come out, we have not had a totally green race thus far this season, but we flirted with it a couple times, especially at some tracks you wouldn't picture. And so these guys have done a great job.
So Wyatt just jinxed it for those of you watching at home. Wyatt just jinxed it, and we're about to have 7 cautions to end the race here tonight.
And if that happens, I will donate to charity. If
I think you
there's
should donate
7
anyways.
cautions, I will probably donate anyways.
Good.
But if there's specifically 7 cautions by the end of this race, I will donate to...
If there is 7 cautions, I want you to eat an entire pot of mashed potatoes live on the stream.
You know what?
Idaho potatoes.
If there's something I know, it's Idaho potatoes. That is an absolute fact. As we see Hunter Smith still pulling away. I mean...
nearly 2.8 seconds over Leighton Norgard, but I think the biggest thing here is 4 seconds over Chris Wright.
Yeah, and you know, one of the faster guys I'm seeing right now is actually William White. You know, we saw him late earlier before that damage, and he's kind of reeled in a Leighton Norgard. He's doing a really good job. He's got a lot of ground to make up in these final 30 laps or so, but it's looking pretty good. He needs to get down to the bottom in 1 and 2. I can tell you that much. He keeps getting a little high off there. He's got to be careful.
looking at the last lap times here, as you can see on the scoreboard, it does look like the quickest car on the racetrack last time by was, in fact, Jesse Rasmus with a 31 flat. So very good driving so far by Rasmus. Quickest car of the evening, though, so far with a 30.71. Trey Holmes has been the quickest car here tonight, followed by what would be Ethan Stanley. As you see, a very close side-by-side battle between Stanley and Chris Wright here for the 4th position.
Oh, they're getting real close there, too. Oh, that set me off a little bit. I was a little uncomfortable seeing Chris get very close to his fender there coming down the front
Chris
strip.
has to race hard, of course, as this is now his closest championship rival in Ethan Stanley. Trey Eidson was there as well. Eidson not here tonight, of course, so it is all Chris Wright and Ethan Stanley. Let's take a look at the points once again here with just over 25 laps to go. You can see that difference between Stanley and Wright, only 11 points entering tonight, and then they have a fair bit of a gap back to Mark Murphy and Michael Hossack. So these guys are going to take advantage of everything they can do tonight to try to gain on the rest of the field, pull away a little bit. But in Ethan Stanley's case, he's going to try to go for yet another victory on the season. I think he's got a lot of work to do to get there, but anything is possible at this point. 27 laps remaining here in the Nashville 133.
Yeah, and let's not discount Mark Murphy either. He's currently running 7th place, been quietly good all night. He was one of the earlier guys to pit on that pit sequence there under green, and he's worked his way up nicely. Another guy is right in front of him there, Jordan Owens in the 26. He's been quietly flirting with the top 5, currently running 6th. We haven't really talked about him all night.
We really haven't.
Running a great pace, too.
Yeah, and you know what? Just now, we'll take an opportunity as well to give a shout out to that name on the side of his car. As you see it right now, JD Designs. That is Jonathan Cutlip. That is our race controller here in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. Does a lot of design work for many drivers in the Elite Racing League. So be sure to check out JD Designs on Twitter for all of your painting needs. Of course, I'm going to shout out my guy, Justin Vandermeerl, as well. I'm hoping he's watching, unless he's watching some Canadian commercials right now. But Justin Vandermeerl of JV Designs also does a fantastic job. So check those two guys out. Really cool dudes. I know you've worked with both of them, as have I, Wyatt, and we're teammates with both of them. So shout out to Justin and John.
Yeah, and shout out to Justin making a beautiful cup car for me. We have a battle for 3rd right now. Ethan Stanley's already up, and he's passing William White as we speak. Holy cow, that was out of nowhere. He caught him so quick.
I don't know what it is about Ethan Stanley in the ARCA car, but he just gets really excited when he gets in this car, and all of a sudden, he just has another level of speed, and he can just really take off. And we gotta watch this 91, see what he can do in the late stages of the race. But speaking of late stages of the race, now we have a battle for 2nd, as Ethan Stanley up on the rear end of a Leighton Norgard. Norgard, of course, had that great pit stop. Here comes Ethan Stanley looking.
We go on board.
Yeah, let's go on board. Great idea, Wyatt. Let's go on board with Ethan Stanley here, chasing down the Leighton Norgard machine. They're about 3.5 seconds behind our race leader, Hunter Smith, who's just now going through some lap traffic a little bit further up. You can kind of see it at the top of the screen there, just at the start-finish line. That is the race leader, Hunter Smith, in lap traffic. But here's Ethan Stanley chasing down a Leighton Norgard, looking for the opportunity to make that move for 2nd. Oh. Big jump into the corner there. I thought they were about to make contact.
And you got to wonder if he's trying to get side by side to potentially block a Leighton behind that lap car. He's not going to get the opportunity here as the lap car lets him by, but holy cow, man, that speed has come out of nowhere too. Ethan Stanley, about 5-10 laps into that run, just took off, got past Chris Wright, and now about 20 laps into this run, 25 laps or so, he's coming to life.
And one thing I want to point out, just a moment ago when they were battling for that position, I mentioned they were about 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. They're about 2.5 seconds back now. So the leader, Hunter Smith, we're going to jump to him real quick and then right back to this battle. He just had to go through some lap traffic, and that really cut into his race lead.
Yeah, and it's going to make it tough. We got to imagine that Hunter Smith isn't driving his wheels off. He knows his gap. He knows what he needs to do here to manage it if it gets all the way to the end of the race green. And he's got to be looking at this battle on his screen and be thinking, oh God, please hold him up a little bit, Leighton. I kind of want an easy one if I can get it. But, it'll be also interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Sorry, that lap car made me a little nervous.
No, you're okay. The one thing, too, to keep in mind, I thought from that angle, it looked like Ethan Stanley was about to turn the Leighton Norgard machine. But the one thing you have to remember, too, is Hunter Smith lost track time when he was going through the lap cars. And what that means is Leighton Norgard and Ethan Stanley are now going to have to go through those same lap cars. As you see David Dunwoody right there, Cash James, Rory Collins, Andrew Hardcastle, those guys are all between the leader and the second place car. So they have to go through that same traffic, and they'll potentially lose time as well. And if Ethan Stanley keeps driving as hard as he is not going to have the tires left at the end of this race.
That's true, but I will say, as the leader, it is always harder to lap a car than it is for the second place guy. You don't, when those lap cars come up and they haven't been lapped yet, they don't want to be lapped. Once they're lapped and they kind of accept their fate, they typically are a little bit easier on the cars behind them. So we'll have to see if that plays out. It's not always the case. But we've got a great battle for second here. And we actually have a battle heating up for fourth. Chris Wright is now up to the bumper of William White.
As you see here, William White just ahead of Chris Wright. You can see Chris lurking there just behind William White. Of course, like you mentioned, battle for fourth place. Battle for second, Leighton Norgard, Ethan Stanley. Only battle right now for Hunter Smith is the clock. 16 laps to go. He's just going to have to continue to charge through and hope for the best. Jesse Rasmus, Mark Murphy battling for the 7th position as well. Jesse Rasmus up now into that 7th spot. 19 spots gained for Jesse Rasmus. So great drive by him tonight.
Yeah, and he was the last car to pit, and having that advantage on tires really helped him out here. There's no reason he can't gain a couple more spots. He might be able to catch up to Jordan Owens, as we see Andrew Hardcastle bring it back down pit road. Might have pitted a little early for his own good on that last run.
Yeah, Andrew Hardcastle a lap down as well. He might just be looking for some sort of strategy to try to gain a couple positions at the end of the race. I think that's more what that is than anything. One thing to point out, Leighton Norgard is under 2 seconds behind Hunter Smith, but Wyatt, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll carry the final 10 laps of the Nashville 1.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here in the Nashville 133 in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. That was our friends at TA Services as well as iRacing.com. Of course, PitPassNetwork.com is the presenting sponsor of this series. PitPassNetwork.com is your new home for all things NASCAR, from news to reviews and interviews. Check out PitPassNetwork.com. Of course, Blue Lake Marketing is the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Lake is your biggest fan as well. Worldwide Technology Raceway is a racing facility in Madison, Illinois, home to a 1.25 mile oval, a 2 mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today. 10 laps to go here at Nashville. It is Hunter Smith over Leighton Norgard. 1.9 seconds is the difference between first and second, and then about just under a second back to third place Ethan Stanley, as well as William White and Chris Wright, as those two battle for position here side by side, chasing down the Ethan Stanley machine. They're swapping spots on racetrack here. Wyatt is, things are picking up here. Guys are getting a little close, and intensity definitely picking up, battling for these positions. Chris Wright knows he needs to go and get by Ethan Stanley to not let him gain absolutely anything here tonight.
Yeah, and these guys, this might be the hardest battle we'll see on track all night, too. Neither one of these guys want to give up a spot to the other, battling for the championship lead. Chris Wright struggled a little bit on the short run of this new set of tires they had from pitting, and now he's starting to come alive here late. I don't think he has enough to get up to the front, too, but he's going to clear Ethan Stanley and get this thing up in the third.
And I think one thing we do have to point out here, with 7 laps to go, we have not seen a caution here tonight. We have remained under the green flag all evening long. So if a caution does come out, do we see someone play a different strategy and stay out? I don't really think you can. But, if you're someone running 15th, 16th, Jess Story or David Dunwoody, even Mike Goodman or Ray Bracey, do you throw something at the wind? See what happens as William White gets all over the rear end of Ethan Stanley here. That, of course, is a battle for the 4th position. Chris Wright just ahead of them in 3rd. But Wyatt, if a caution does come out here in the next few laps, what would you do? Would you stay out? Would you go down pit road? What would you be doing in your number 84 machine?
I think the easy answer would be do what everybody else does, but do a little bit different. I think we're going to see everybody come down and take tires, and probably 4, knowing how loose these cars are. I think I risk it if I'm running 15th. I'll go down and take 2. There might be a couple other people in front of me, but can you stay in the top 10 over 2 laps? I think you maybe could. I think that might be the route to go. I don't think it's a winning strategy. I don't think there is a winning strategy. Taking anything other than 4 tires if a caution comes out and we get a late restart. But I think 2 tires, if you're back there, maybe even flirting around someone like Brandon Ultra in 10th, I think 2 tires might be an opportunity for him to gain a few spots, maybe even get lucky and pull off a win.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. I don't know that we do see any sort of incident here, but as we head up into our Elite Racing Network blimp, flown here tonight by David Huckleberry, you have to wonder what risks these guys are willing to take, as you see a nice side-by-side battle between Ethan Stanley and William White. If you're Ethan Stanley, you need every position you can get to try to close the gap on Chris Wright. Chris has been able to gap about a second over these guys who have been battling here for the 4th position with just 3 laps to go. So it's going to be really interesting to follow along and see what happens here. But this is our closest battle on the racing surface right now, so we'll keep our eyes on this one as William White looks for an opportunity to make a move Looks like Ethan Stanley is going to clear into the 4th spot there and try to chase down Chris Wright. 2 laps to go for Hunter Smith here at Nashville Superspeedway, doing a fantastic job all night long here. Led a handful of laps, actually a couple handfuls really. Leighton Norgard done a great job as well. Ethan Stanley up 21 spots. Jesse Rasmus up 20 as well. Some big gainers here as Hunter Smith will come across to take the white flag, Wyatt. This means that for the first time possibly ever in the Elite Racing League, we will have a caution-free race.
Yeah, and we just can't say enough about these guys. They put on some great racing tonight. Really good competition, really good battles we saw all night with a lot of respect on the track, and it's great to see as we see Hunter Smith bring it around home.
Hunter Smith coming across the line. He will take the victory here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. Leighton Norgard second, Chris Wright on the podium again in 3rd, Ethan Stanley 4th, William White in 5th, Jesse Rasmus comes home 6th, Jordan Owens there in 7th, just ahead of Mark Murphy in 8th, Corey Abbott and Brandon Ultra rounding out the top 10, Brett Jones, Dustin Durr, Michael Goodman, Jess Story and Ray Bracey rounding out the top 15 tonight. David Dunwoody, Rory Collins, Trey Holmes. Unfortunate speeding penalty cost him tonight. P18 for him. Michael Hosek, Robert Smith, Robert Higgins, Cash James, Andrew Hardcastle, Jake Finch, Jay Kaner, and Brandon Key round out the 26 car field here tonight. But of course, Hunter Smith victorious here tonight. We'll take a quick break once again as we work on getting our podium drivers in, and we'll be right back with you here on the Elite Racing Network.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
We are back here at the Nashville Superspeedway. This was the Nashville 133 here. First up in the interview room with Wyatt Knadle is our 3rd place finisher, Chris Wright.
Chris Wright, Wyatt up here in the booth, man. It's becoming a common trend seeing you here talk to us at the end of it. Congratulations on 3rd place tonight. You led some laps. I picked you tonight, but 3rd place is still fantastic. It's keeping up. You're going to retain the points lead. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. It was awesome to run caution free. It was a good race. I guess I should have pitted a couple laps earlier than I did. I think that was ultimately where I lost the ground. I just didn't think it would be. I thought we would make it up on the back end, and we didn't really. I mean, we gained a couple spots there in the last 10 laps, but I think that was only because I couldn't go on fresh tires. I tried to go a couple times, and it got sideways on me, so I just kind of sat there and was patient and saved them. And ultimately, with the points there, I knew Ethan was one of those guys in the points, like you mentioned. So that point swing there to go from 5th to 3rd and to take him out of 3rd and knock back to 4th, that was, I think, about a 3-point swing. So when it's only 6 points, 3 points is a big deal. So we'll take it and move on. And another solid top 3. Congratulations to Hunter. I think that's his first win. It was fun racing him. He was really, really good there at the end of that first run. So I wanted to kind of pit a couple laps later than he did, but ultimately I should have just pitted the lap or the lap after he pitted.
Yeah, and he ran a pretty good race. But let's talk about you for a minute, man. We had 2 weeks off here in between races, and now we kind of hop back into it. did it feel a little foreign? Were you a little bit out of your groove starting this race? And like, what were ways you were able to get back into it and getting that groove of getting back on track and running fast?
Well, we might have been off in this series, but as you know, we run the Cup Series on Wednesday nights, and that didn't stop. We got all these other races, the official races to run, so kind of stay in it. Yeah, the car is different. Obviously, I've not spent any time in the ARCA car for a couple weeks, but everything else, it's just, it comes back easy. You just got to work in the car and remember the tendencies of the car, but everything else, racing around people and racecraft and pitting and stuff like that, you never do, forget that from car to car. So it was fun. Nashville's a great track. Lots of tire fall off. You saw it the first run there. There were some guys that wore their stuff out and dropped back. Maybe not as much as I thought. I don't know if it's the car or if it's the nighttime. I'm not real sure what it was, but the tire fall off wasn't as bad as it typically gets as far as lap time goes. The car handling changed quite a bit through a run, but the lap times didn't fall off as much as I thought. Like saving tires didn't. It was only good for maybe a second and a half or two over the course of a run. So that should have been maybe a clue for me to pit a little sooner. And I knew the 54 was pitting when he called it out down the back. So I could have just pitted from in front of him and kind of made him follow me and have to pass me on the track. But I thought it would make a difference later. It ultimately didn't. But like I said, it was a great run for Hunter. He was good all night. He was probably the best car in the long run. So well-deserved win for Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And you can't be upset with third. It's not second, but it's also not first. We've seen you up here up here in the booth a lot after races. Looking at the tracks down the line here throughout the season, you think we're gonna see you more?
Do you know what the tracks are? Because I do not.
Oh, there is quite a few of them. I know we've got a couple. We got Charlotte coming up in a few weeks. Some good mile and a halves and some good tracks in general.
We go Charlotte, Kentucky, Legacy, Phoenix, and Iowa to end the season.
Well, every one of those things that you just said is going to be fun except Iowa. I can't stand Iowa. I'm not good at that place for whatever reason. I'll have to lean on a friend of mine, Josh Adams, and he spotted for me tonight. So he helped me out tonight and was kind of helping me keep my line tidy there around the bottom and saving tire and whatnot. So I'll have to lean on him for Iowa. But as far as the mile and a halves, I mean, look at what we've done in this car. The mile and a halves have been spectacular in this car. This was, I think, our second or third caution-free race. It says a lot about the car, and it says a lot about these guys who are newer to elite and trying to get into elite. A lot of these guys have maybe been crapped on in other series or by other people, and kind of, once that mark's placed on you, it's hard to get rid of it. But I think tonight proves a lot, and the series as a whole this season has proved that these guys are capable of racing clean. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Based on what I've seen in Elite and been a part of in the Cup Series and broadcasting on Monday nights, is there a cleaner series in Elite this season? I don't think so.
Yeah, and we'll have to leave that up for interpretation. I don't think that's our place to necessarily say that, at least for Robert and I up here. We just enjoy the action. But Chris, before we let you go, do you have anybody you want to shout out to, any sponsors, family, friends?
Yeah, and let me just say this to you before I get into that, Wyatt. You go ahead and you crap on whatever series you want to crap on or whatever driver. I
Chris
do it on
loves
Monday
doing
nights.
that.
Yeah, I do it to other drivers and everything else, and I guess they're okay with it. Not everybody comes at me and lets me know about it. Every once in a while they do, but you got to state your opinion up there. And like I said, I think this ARCA car, I don't think it's just the series and the drivers. I'm not trying to bash any drivers. But this ARCA car is a ton of fun to run, and I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I think I've said it to you guys privately. I would love for Chad to make this a series in Elite moving forward that's not just for beginners, because I look at some of these drivers in here like Tyler Fody and Tate Lytle and Ethan and all these other guys, that run, Matthew Weeks, Josh Adams, Nick Massey, Ryan Gavel. These series and this car, man, this car is so much fun to run. It's so much different than what we have. It doesn't feel like you have all that downforce. So if this were to become an official Elite series for everybody moving forward, I think the series and the car, there would be some great racing because it's a lot of fun to run this car. But I'm going to give a shout out to Pit Pass Network. They're on the car. Kendall No Player He designed the car, K&P Graphics. Josh Adams, of course, spotted for me tonight. And my brother up there watching. Zach was watching as well, helping out. Everybody at Lake Norman, Fody, and of course, you guys here at Elite. All the broadcast work that you do, Robert. It's fun being with you on Monday night. I know Dave helps make this thing go around. And then give a shout out to Chad for putting on the leagues that he does and running every week. And once again, congrats to Hunter on the win. I think, like I said, it's his first win, so hopefully he enjoys it. And there won't ever be another first win for him in Elite. So it's pretty cool to get it here at Nashville in a caution-free race.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, congratulations on your third place finish. I'm sure we will talk to you here again in the future.
All right, guys, have fun.
Wyatt, that was Chris Wright, our third place finisher here tonight. Next up, taking Chris's usual spot in second is, of course, a Leighton Norgard standing by with you.
Leighton, it's Wyatt in the booth, man. Congratulations on second. How's it feel here tonight?
Hey, thanks. Pretty good. It was a hell of a race. Didn't expect it to go green the whole time. I was really hoping to not have a green flag stop, but yeah, it was. I thought I had a shot at it, but with the undercut that the Hunter had, that opened up enough of a gap that I just couldn't close.
Yeah, he was really tough, all night. Really good speed out of Hunter. But for you, you started fifth and you're finishing second. You can't be too upset with staying up front for most of the race and battling. What did you see on the track, or what did you feel in the car that really connected with you there?
I think my strength was tonight was long run pace. Kind of earlier in the run, there were cars that were definitely faster than me. In that last run, you saw Ethan catch up to me, but he caught me at that transition point where I started picking up more speed and he fell off a little bit, I think. So I was able to hold on to second. It's too bad for Jay. He probably would have had a pretty good shot at this if he wasn't having network issues. But yeah, it's a lot of fun when races come down to tire management for me, because that's what I feel one of my strengths is. So it went pretty well. Yeah, I can't be mad about it.
Absolutely. And, do you think you could have done anything different to maybe get a little bit closer? Do you think the first run you might have took it a little too easy or anything there, and that impacted your gap there to Hunter near the end of the race?
Um, I don't think so. Our pace, both Hunter, myself, and Chris, was pretty equal the entire race. I felt like, um, if I had pit a lap or two earlier, I probably could have given him a run for it. But ultimately, I think it's pit timing that the race came down to. So our driving was pretty even.
Absolutely. And we kind of saw that there at the end. We saw you guys about equaling lap times too. But, congratulations, Leighton, on your second place finish. Do you have any sponsors, family, or friends you want to shout out here?
Yeah, my teammates at Abbott Motorsports, Corey and Andrew. Also, thanks to Andrew for throwing together this paint for me. Kind of a one-off for the league with the way the off weeks fall. I only get to run this season, unfortunately. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, congratulations once again on second place. I hope we get to see you in the booth more in the future in whatever series you are running. But second place isn't anything to be upset about. Congratulations, man, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, thanks.
Wyatt, that was a Leighton Norgard, our runner-up tonight, and now the man of the hour, his first ever Elite Racing League victory. It is Hunter Smith.
Hunter, it's Wyatt in the booth, man. Hopefully you haven't celebrated too hard already, but how are you doing? Congratulations on the win.
Doing fantastic. Lost my voice at work, unfortunately, this past weekend, so might not sound my best, but that was an awesome time. That was my first win in in any ERL series besides running just Carb Day, and man, that was a blast. That track was way more fun than I ever thought it would be. I've only driven in open wheel cars and then did it one race there, I think, last year, and that was about it.
Well, you really had the pace tonight too. You battled through some traffic early on in the race, starting 10th, made your way up, I believe you actually passed Chris before pit stops there under green, and you were able to pull away, man. What did you see on the track? How did it feel, and did the car just click with you tonight?
Well, yeah, it definitely clicked. The most important part was I noticed everyone else was just gunning it into the turns. I was using one more brake, and that's why I couldn't get around Chris. So I basically ended up just sitting behind him because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get around him. So that's why I went ahead and went for the undercut.
And you
But
did a
that
great.
turn four, sorry, that
Oh
turn
no.
four is really, really tight, and that's where I was able to find all the speed. I mean, that it looks wide, but it's really not. It's a single lane, and you can burn your tires out really easily if you don't get it right.
Absolutely, and you ran a really good race in general. Um, was there anything that you saw a Leighton doing there late that was making you a little bit nervous, or did you feel you had this thing firmly in control near the end if it ran green like it did?
He 100% made me nervous. I'm pretty sure he pitted a couple laps after me too, so he had slightly fresher tires. But yeah, I had to turn off my relative, and then I find myself every 10 seconds turning it back on. And I noticed he jump up a tenth. Yeah, he was getting the nerves. That's for sure.
We noticed in the race there, especially on that last green flag run after stops, we saw a lot of lap traffic there. Was it hard to negotiate through those guys, or did they make it pretty easy on you? Because you lost a little bit of time to a Leighton, we'd noticed, but it seemed like you were getting through them like nothing.
Overall, it wasn't too bad. I had a one or two where I really pushed it, and I got pretty loose. I mean, I had one really close call. I about nailed the wall coming out of two. But overall, getting through the lap traffic wasn't too bad. The guys are really nice. And the series is a ton of fun. Everyone in the series races really well. And hence is why Kansas opening round, we were able to go caution free. And then again tonight, we went caution free.
Yeah, and it was an absolute spectacle to watch. I'm happy I was a part of it, like I always am on Tuesday nights here in the Pit Pass Network Elite ARCA series. Before we let you go, man, I just want to say congratulations again. But do you have any sponsors, family, or friends you want to shout out?
Yep, sure do appreciate the team at Little Eagle Racing. This is our third season in, so I'm still learning. And then shout out to Warriors for Peace for sponsoring all of our cars. And then, of course, my family out there watching. So, yeah, sure do appreciate it. Definitely going to enjoy this one. So, thank you guys.
Thank you very much for joining us in the booth, Hunter. Congratulations on winning tonight. I think after this performance, we'll probably see you up in the booth more often than not.
Sounds like a plan. I'm for it.
All right, man. Congratulations. Have a great night.
Cheers.
Wyatt, that was Hunter Smith, first time winner here in the Elite Racing League. I do want to go back on something I said earlier when I said, oh, I think it's the first ever caution-free race in Elite. How could I forget our season opener at Kansas, where we also went caution-free? 2 of the 6 races here, 33% of our events in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series have gone caution-free so far. So if you love the ARCA car and you're eligible to take part in this series, reach out to us. Get on the Elite Discord. Send us a tweet. Get in this race for in the next round, which does come on March 7th at the Charlotte Oval. We're going to go to the Charlotte Oval for 100 laps. Then we'll do 100 laps at Kentucky. Then a few weeks later, April 4th, we'll do another 100 laps at the Legacy Phoenix Oval, which is a great version of Phoenix, by the way. And then we'll round out the season April 18th at Iowa. And why we have renewed the Pit Pass Network ARCA series for a second season coming up here in just a couple months. So check out that schedule when it comes out. But why? Final thoughts from you here tonight from the Nashville 133.
Yeah, I think you said it as good as anybody could. I'm very proud to be a part of this series in Elite Racing League. And these guys are putting on a show every week. We are seeing good skill, we're seeing clean racing, and we're seeing hard racing. That's the fantastic part. I mean, I remember a couple weeks ago, we were, it seemed like 18 wide at one point for a battle,
Yeah.
and they were keeping it going. It was insane. Tonight, this track doesn't offer that kind of racing per se, but overall, man, I'm just so proud of everybody in this series. Congratulations to Hunter Smith on winning his first race. That's fantastic. And that's what this is about as well. It's getting some confidence built under these guys and really letting them shine. And man, I'm just happy to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at the points after tonight. We don't have an updated graphic, but Chris Wright leads by 12 over Ethan Stanley, who has 2 victories on the season. Before this season, he had never won in a stock car in Elite. Now he has 2 victories. Hunter Smith never won in Elite before this season. Has a victory. Finds himself third, 32 out. Mark Murphy, don't see him consistently in the top 10 in the Cup side of things or trucks or whatever else he runs in stock cars. He's up in 4th. William White doesn't usually race stock cars with us. He's in the top 5. Jess Story, he was away for so long. He's in 6th. Ray Bracey, of course, he won a truck race last season. He's just that darn good. But he's up in the top 10. Trey Eidson, he has 2 poles, 3 top 5s. Michael Hossack, a couple top 10s. Jesse Rasmus, top 10s as well. Jordan Owens finished top 10 tonight. You look throughout, Brent Jones consistently up around the top 10. You look at all these guys that we don't normally see running at the top in the top series of Elite, and they're here. They're on display. They're putting on their performances. They're building confidence, building skill, building whatever they need to be consistent at the next level here in Elite. That's exactly what the Pit Pass Network ARCA series is about. And that's what these guys have done. It's been fantastic through the first 6 rounds to see this. You know, I have to thank the drivers for everything they've done. I have to thank you. I have to thank Josh Personette, Jonathan Cutlip, Chad Frankenfield, everything those guys have all done behind the scenes. Dave Huckleberry for his help with graphics for the broadcast. Again, Chad and all the admins for Elite. Of course, Pit Pass Network and Cash James for coming on board as the presenting partner of the series. Our premier partners, Blue Egg Marketing, TA Services, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Everyone that's come on board, we have to thank them all, and everyone that tunes in watching at home. It's been a fantastic start to the series, and I can't wait to keep it going.
Absolutely. And, you know, one person you left out there is yourself, man. You doing this producing, along with the play-by-play and whatnot, crazy talent, first off. You know, thank you for being up here in the booth with me every Tuesday night on the Elite Racing Network. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man.
You make this job easy, if you can even call it a job. It's a hobby. But I love it. And I want to thank you for all you do, because you don't give yourself enough credit on the broadcast. So let's hear that. You know, thank you, Robert.
You know what, man? I'm just up here watching racing. I'm watching these guys learn. I'm watching these guys have fun, and I'm having a hell of a time doing it as well. But you know what? That'll just about do it for us here tonight on the Elite Racing Network. Of course, next time we'll be back is in 2 weeks' time at the Charlotte Oval. But tomorrow night, be sure to tune in at 8:30, Wyatt?
Yes, 8:30.
8:30 for round number 4 of the Join APS Cup Series from the Chicago Street Circuit. So a little bit different action there, but be sure to come check that out. We'll see. Just verifying here. We are back Thursday night as well at Watkins Glen. It'll be myself and Derek Vance for the Elite Warriors for Peace Classic Series. That is the Lotus 49 from Watkins Glen. And then once again, we'll be back in the Truck Series for the first time in a little while at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Sweet Potato 155. So a great charity event. Check that out Sunday night as well. But once again, on behalf of Wyatt Knadle and myself, Robert Hill Jr., this has been a production of the Elite Racing Network. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.